I'm Chris Covis. I'm an associate professor here in the Department of Mechanical Engineering in the School of Engineering and Computer Science, and also the Director of Engineering and Energy Education for OU Inc.'s Clean Energy Research Center. I coordinate what we're calling Science Critics Movie Night Out, and what we do is we get a bunch of students together from the Oakland University community, and we watch sci-fi based movies, and then what we do is we try to critique them on the basis of science, logic, and reason. So today's movie is going to be The Green Lantern. Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to our second movie night. This is we're now calling this the Science Critics Night Out. And what we do here is we show mostly sci-fi flavored movies, and then after the movie we invite people to give their critiques based on science, based on logic, based on reason. And then after the movie I will invite people on stage. If you want to come up on stage, you're guaranteed to have a prize. I will give a prize to everybody that comes up on stage and gives their 2 cents about what they think about the movie based on whatever. So, but if you don't want to, that's fine. If you just want to critique it, just in this blank space over here that I'm going to give you, that's totally fine too. So it's totally up to you. Okay? So I'm going to get this thing started, and please enjoy. So while the movie's playing, I'm going to hand this out, and I've got the pens over here. So thank you very much for showing up, and let's get this thing started.
George Pappas. I'm in the engineering department.
Okay, George, what did you think of the movie? Any technical errors?
Well, a few that I've noticed. At the end, the last scene, he was getting close to the sun, and we know for a fact that temperatures are very high, so there's no way that he could survive the high temperatures.
Okay, so Hal Jordan wouldn't have survived being that close to the sun.
Exactly.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, that's good.
My name is Giovanni Smith, and the part that I really liked about it was that he could breathe in space.
He can breathe in space. That's a good point. You can't really breathe in space, can you?
No.
I'm Michael Arla. The one thing that I remember all about this is that it's from a comic book. They are able to stretch the scientific imagination.
That's right.
I see that it's like a lot. It's like most science fiction movies and novels that it's from some sort of scientific fact, and that they're able to stretch out the design a lot.
All right.
2 points. One of them is, why did they speak English on this planet with all those civilizations? Why was English chosen as the language?
Well, they said that in the movie. The chicken, fish, whatever the heck he was, saying that his brain knew all of their languages, and then
Didn't that guy or one of the other guys say your ring translator is working or something like that?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
The chicken.
Second one was, I'm not sure how far into the, I don't know what you call the stratosphere, the outer atmosphere of the planet with those planes at the very beginning, but I would think that as they were coming in for re-entry, they would have burned up.
Yeah, if they went too high.
They went too high. I'm not sure how high they went. They wouldn't say that, but
Well,
just like
above 50,000 feet. That much we can be sure. It was above 50,000 feet. We just don't know how much.
There's possible they could have
They would have heated up, probably.
They could have. I'd be surprised that they could only fly at 50,000 feet. I mean, military aircraft, commercial aircraft fly at what, 35,000 or so?
Yeah, 35.
I would think military aircraft could probably go above 50. Concords can go at about 100,000, right? Because they were supersonic.
I believe so.
Most of these military planes are supersonic. I would think that 100,000 would be, I don't know. I haven't looked that up. Well, thank you very much for that.
Let's go somewhere I can't fly.
Yeah, this trajectory that he takes going straight up basically is absolutely impossible for a fighter jet. He would do that for a little bit, but it would stall out way before he got to the maximum operating altitude of that airplane. You cannot take an airplane straight up like this for very long at all, not even with an advanced one. It's an impossible trajectory.
those planes that he strapped to his body, how could they really fly in space? There's no gravity.
How could airplanes fly in space is the question. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, somebody said that was energy coming out, but yeah, anyway. But that's fair. That's fair. Thanks, Josh. Yeah, here we go. Airplanes in space. Now, how do you construct an airplane without knowledge of every part plus the chemical reactions there? But jets require air intake. And plus, to fly around like that, you have to use the laws of aerodynamics. There's nothing out in outer space for the ailerons to be changing direction at all. Why not just think up of a big can with a rocket engine on the back end? I mean, what's with all this?
Actually, I have a couple.
You got a couple of them, all right.
Well, first of all, probably most obvious sci-fi movies. Sound can't propagate without a medium. So in space, you're not gonna hear any explosions or any sound effects or anything like that.
It makes space kind of boring, doesn't it?
It does. It would be kind of boring.
2001 Space Odyssey, anybody see that? That was pretty accurate. There was no sound out there. Those parts were kind of boring. It was a good, I liked it. Okay, good point. Anything else? What was your second one?
Also, might be overthinking it, but when he was flying away from the sun, the force of gravity seemed to get stronger as he got further away from it. So I don't know.
Okay.
Might be overthinking that one a little bit.
Interesting point.
Maybe he was getting weaker, or who knows.
Yeah, lost his will, right?
Lost his will.
Great, thank you very much. How to escape if you're caught in a gravity well. So let's say that this is the sun over here. Let's say that you are an object pretty close to the sun, headed pretty quickly towards the sun because of its gravity. You're caught in its gravity well. You're not going to have enough energy to escape the gravitational pull. So what do? The thing to do here would be then to start trying to circle the sun. And basically what you're doing when you go in a circular motion here, even if your linear velocity is constant, you do have an acceleration towards the center of gravity of the sun in this case, which is called centripetal acceleration. What that results in is a centrifugal force in the opposite direction. And if you can build up your velocity enough, eventually you're going to get further and further away until you reach escape velocity and you can leave orbit basically and escape. The way not to do it is to try and basically swim directly against the current. That's just going to get you killed. And how stupid is Parallax? He gets caught in the gravity well here, and instead of trying to orbit the sun in a circle and building up your speed by building up centripetal acceleration, letting centrifugal forces do their job, they just go straight back.
Craft at the beginning of the movie, upon entry into the atmosphere, I think, unless it was some sort of special material, probably would have disintegrated or burned up by the time it landed, or actually when it did land, I would think that it would have been completely destroyed. And it was actually, there's quite a bit of the structure was left, so I felt that was a little bit unrealistic.
Yeah, how do you land that thing coming from outer space? Good one.
Also the air pressure. If you go up into outer space, the air pressure is very low there, so wouldn't.
Yeah, it's like zero.
I know.
It's like zero. So we're all assuming that he had an energy shield around him, a little bubble where he kept his pressure. Hopefully he had no leaks in there.
Yep. The thing I noticed was the first way that we saw the evil guy's power was he was reading minds. Yet he was tricked by the Green Lantern into putting the ring on.
You know, that's a very good point. Wouldn't he know what the Green Lantern was thinking? Now, the thing is, in this scene, Hal Jordan actually tricks the Metaluna guy.
That's impossible.
Now, remember, this guy can read minds.
You can read minds.
He can read people's thoughts. Why was he unable to recognize that Hal Jordan was actually tricking him here?
I don't know, Margot.
When Hal's coming down, they say he needs to eject because he's reaching minimum eject altitude. there is no such thing as minimum eject altitude. You could eject even if you're on the ground. They have thrusters. The seats do. So here's a Harrier jet coming in, crashes on the ground. Now, just keep your eye on the cockpit over here. Just watch it. This guy's going to eject after a crash on the ground. Yeah, the seat's got thrusters in them. Takes him all the way up there, springs his parachute, and he's okay. We had several students that chose not to come on stage and talk, but they did fill out a form. They did have some critiques of the movie. We have one review here where it was stated that Hal and Parallax could talk and hear each other in outer space, and of course that's impossible because sound cannot carry in outer space. Also, several comments indicated that towards the end of the movie, when both the hero and the villain were very close to the sun, both of them would be incinerated because of the intense radiation. We've had a couple of complaints that there was too much CGI, and that energy projection at this level, at this magnitude, can't be harnessed in such a small item as a ring. That's a pretty good comment there. One student commented on paper that the tail propeller of a helicopter should primarily affect only its rotation and not its pitch, in reference to the helicopter scene. Now, the Senator's evil son here tries to kill Dad for the first time. Now that rotor in the back there, the only thing that rotor would affect is the rotation. It would not affect the pitch of the helicopter. All they would do if they lost control of that rotor is lose control of the rotation. And the obvious thing to do if you were a pilot was just to set it straight down, which they don't do for some unknown reason.
That's impossible.
All of a sudden he loses control of all the other degrees of freedom other than just rotation, and there's absolutely no engineering reason, no scientific reason why that would happen. He would have just had to set that thing straight down rather than doing what he's doing right now. This was a pretty astute comment by a computer programmer, an obvious computer programmer. It said the lantern required a form of two-factor authentication to activate it. The possession of the ring was one, and the oath, the passphrase, was the other. So ideally this passphrase should have been known before activation. So this is a person that's pretty familiar with software activation. We had another one that really got into, another comment that really got into using willpower as the energy source, that will is not a tangible energy that can be harnessed for actual usage. That people can't breathe air in space, there's no pressure out there, it's too cold, people can't fly. That's pretty good. Of course, we make machines to do that. And several comments indicated that the great distances traveled in a short amount of time was also impossible. So those were some of the comments that students wrote on paper. And being that they're in the asteroid belt, they would be very far away from the sun, much farther than they were when Earth was there. And then he looks around and there's a gigantic ball of fire right there, as if they're right next to the sun. Well, they're by the asteroid belt. So there's a spatial mistake here.
That's not possible, sir.
To get from the asteroid belt to the sun at the speed of light would take a long time. It would not be seconds. It wouldn't even be measured in minutes. It would be a significant amount of time.